A whisper of fear. The spaceport buzzed with life, a mix of alien species scurrying to and fro, each caught in their own routines. The air was thick with the scent of fuel and the hum of engines powering starships. Tyler, a merchant from the peaceful world of Arvendis, carefully maneuvered through the crowd, clutching a datapad filled with trade deals. His scales glinted faintly under the artificial lights as he listened to the murmur of conversations around him. But something felt off. Tyler's keen ears caught a faint, uneasy tone among the chatter. Words spoken in hushed voices, stolen glances over shoulders, and tension that hadn't been there before. He paused near a stall selling exotic fruits and tilted his head, pretending to examine the wares while his attention focused elsewhere. "They haven't responded in weeks," a gravelly voice whispered. Tyler turned slightly, catching sight of two Krenar traders huddled together. Their mandibles clicked nervously as they spoke. "You think it's true?" one asked, its antennae twitching. "That they'd gone silent on purpose." Tyler frowned. "Who?" he thought, his curiosity piqued. The second Krenar shifted uneasily. "Humans," it muttered, as if the word itself carried a curse. "They've pulled back their ships, abandoned their posts. Even the Terran embassies are empty." Tyler's scales prickled. Humans, the Dithworlders, were notorious across the galaxy. Hailing from Earth, a planet considered one of the most dangerous in existence, they were survivors of countless natural disasters, predators, and wars. Yet, despite their ferocity, humans had always been the galaxy's diplomats, the peacemakers who mended disputes with a strange mix of charm and stubbornness. Why would they retreat now? "Maybe it's nothing," one Krenar said, though its tone lacked conviction. "Maybe they're just reorganizing." The other leaned closer, its mandibles clicking rapidly. "No, it's different this time. I heard from a friend on Daxar Station. They found a human colony completely abandoned. Not destroyed, just gone. No signs of struggle, no messages left behind. They just vanished." Tyler's heart quickened. A whole colony, abandoned. He had traded with humans before. They were adaptable, resourceful, and above all, fiercely protective of their people. To leave a colony without a trace was unthinkable. As the Krenar traders moved away, Tyler remained rooted in place, his mind racing. Across the spaceport, he noticed others speaking in the same low, anxious tones. Snippets of conversation reached his ears. "Trade routes are failing. No response from their fleets. Praying they haven't stopped playing nice." That last phrase sent a chill down Tyler's spine. He had heard it before, a saying among the older species, a reminder of humanity's potential for destruction. The humans were terrifying not because they started wars, but because they always finished them. Tyler decided to investigate further. He activated his datapad, accessing the intergalactic trade network for news about the United Human Federation. The search results were sparse, limited to vague reports of disrupted communications and missing ships. One article mentioned that human ambassadors had withdrawn from the Galactic Council 3 weeks ago, offering no explanation. "Strange," Tyler muttered to himself. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden commotion. A tall, robed figure stood at the center of the spaceport, surrounded by a small crowd. The figure's face was hidden, but its voice carried an ominous weight. To those who think the humans are weak, it declared, "Remember this, they have been patient, forgiving, and kind. But you have tested them too far." The crowd murmured in confusion, and Tyler pushed closer, his curiosity overcoming his caution. "They will not warn you again," the figure continued. "Pray they never stop playing nice." With that, the figure turned and disappeared into the crowd, leaving behind an air of unease. Tyler's scales tingled. He had no idea who the figure was or what they meant, but their words echoed in his mind. As he returned to his ship, Tyler couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was unfolding. The humans were no longer acting like the diplomatic mediators the galaxy had come to rely on. Their silence was deliberate, and it was sending ripples of fear through every star system. Settling into the cockpit of his freighter, Tyler made a decision. He would head to Darkspace Station, where the abandoned human colony was reported. If anyone could uncover the truth, it was a merchant like him, skilled at reading between the lines and piecing together fragments of information. As the ship's engines roared to life, and the stars blurred into streaks of light, Tyler whispered to himself, "What are you planning, humans?" Little did he know, the answer would shake the galaxy to its core. Silent shadows. The freighter Starbound Whisper exited hyperspace near Darkspace Station, its hull shuddering slightly as it adjusted to the region's gravitational forces. Tyler leaned forward in his seat, his amber eyes scanning the vast emptiness outside. Where there had once been bustling trade lanes and blinking navigational beacons, now only silence remained. The station floated in the void like a tomb, its exterior lights flickering sporadically. Darkspace had been a hub for human and alien collaboration, a shining example of interspecies cooperation. Now it looked abandoned, a ghost of its former glory. Tyler's ship's computer beeped, pulling him from his thoughts. Unidentified energy signatures detected. Proceed with caution. Tyler frowned. Energy signatures. From where? The computer processed for a moment before responding. Unclear. Patterns match no known vessel configuration. Tyler's tail twitched nervously as he maneuvered closer to the station. His instincts screamed at him to turn back, but his curiosity burned brighter. This was his chance to uncover what had happened to the humans, and why their silence was casting shadows across the galaxy. Docking was surprisingly easy. The automated systems of Darkspace Station, though sluggish, still functioned. The airlock hissed open, and Tyler stepped into the dimly lit corridors. The once vibrant station now felt suffocatingly quiet. He activated a small scanner on his wrist, its soft blue light cutting through the darkness. The scanner chirped, displaying faint traces of human DNA. They had been here, but it had been weeks, maybe longer, since their departure. As he moved deeper into the station, Tyler noticed signs of haste: overturned crates, scattered tools, and abandoned datapads. Yet there were no signs of violence. No scorch marks from blasters, no claw marks from alien attacks. It was as if the humans had simply left. In the central command hub, Tyler found something that made his scales tighten. A message had been etched into the metal wall, deep and deliberate, as if carved by a laser. To those who think us gone, we are watching. Tyler's mouth went dry. Watching what? He muttered. Before he could contemplate the message further, his wrist scanner beeped again. This time, it detected movement, not human, but something else. The reading was faint, almost ghost-like, and it came from the lower decks. Against his better judgment, Tyler followed the signal. The corridors grew darker and colder as he descended. The faint hum of the station's failing systems seemed to grow louder, amplifying his unease. He reached a maintenance bay, its heavy doors slightly ajar. Steeling himself, Tyler pushed them open. Inside, he found something he hadn't expected: a sleek, black drone hovering silently in the center of the room. The drone was unlike anything he had seen before. Its surface absorbed the dim light, making it appear almost invisible. A single red eye blinked to life, focusing on him. Tyler froze. The drone emitted a soft, synthetic voice. Unauthorized presence detected. Identify yourself. I'm just a merchant, Tyler stammered, raising his hands. I mean no harm. The drone's eyes scanned him, its red glow intensifying. For a moment, Tyler thought it might attack, but instead, it spoke again. Observation complete. You are not a threat. Tyler exhaled in relief. What are you? Why are you here? Where are the humans? The drone hovered closer, its voice calm but unnervingly precise. The humans have initiated Protocol Epsilon. This station is under their watch. Trespassers are not advised to linger. Protocol Epsilon. Tyler repeated, confused. What does that mean? What are they planning? The drone paused, as if contemplating how much to reveal. Finally, it said, "The galaxy has betrayed its stewards. Balance must be restored." Balance? What are you talking about? The drone didn't answer. Instead, it projected a hologram into the air. The image showed a galactic map, with numerous systems highlighted in red. Tyler recognized many of them as key trade routes and military hubs. Phase 1, the drone said. Preparation. The hologram shifted, showing chaos. Trade routes disrupted, fleets immobilized, planets isolated. Phase 2, reclamation. Before Tyler could ask what that meant, the drone's eye dimmed, and it deactivated, falling to the floor with a soft clang. The room plunged into silence once more. Tyler's scales prickled with unease. Whatever humanity was planning, it wasn't small. They had left their colonies and outposts not out of fear, but with purpose. They weren't retreating. They were setting the stage for something far bigger. Gripping his scanner tightly, Tyler hurried back to his ship. The whispers he had heard in the spaceport weren't exaggerations. The humans had gone quiet, and in that silence, they were preparing to reshape the galaxy itself. As the starbound whisper lifted off, Tyler looked back at the desolate station one last time. The ominous message carved into the wall replayed in his mind. We are watching. Whatever the humans were doing, the galaxy wouldn't remain ignorant for long. And when the time came, Tyler feared no one would be ready for it. The catalyst. The starbound whisper glided through the void, its engines humming softly as Tyler reviewed the data he had gathered from Daxar Station. The holographic map, the drone's cryptic warnings, and the eerie absence of humanity. All of it painted a chilling picture, yet it was incomplete, and Tyler was no stranger to puzzles. His next destination was clear: the Galactic Council headquarters on Seraph Prime. If anyone knew what had truly provoked humanity's withdrawal, it would be the Council, the galaxy's self-proclaimed peacekeepers and strategists. Tyler didn't trust them, but they always had their fingers on the pulse of interstellar politics. The Galactic Council's chamber was a towering marvel of architecture, its crystalline spires piercing the atmosphere of Seraph Prime like jagged swords. Inside, the air buzzed with tension as representatives from dozens of species debated, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of fear and accusation. Tyler, posing as a humble trade envoy, slipped into the observation gallery. His tail flicked nervously as he scanned the delegates below, their postures rigid, their expressions strained. At the center of the room, the council leader, High Arbiter Xaltric, banged his staff on the floor, demanding silence. This hysteria serves no purpose. Xaltric's voice boomed. His deep green carapace shimmered under the chamber's lights as he glared at the assembled crowd. The humans are not our enemy, yet we must focus on understanding their motives before jumping to conclusions. A delegate from the Xenar Collective, a species known for their meticulous record-keeping, rose to speak. Understanding their motives, they abandoned their colonies without warning. Their fleets are silent. Their trade routes are collapsing, disrupting economies across the galaxy. This is not diplomacy. It is preparation for war. The chamber erupted in chaos, voices rising in alarm. Tyler leaned forward, his claws gripping the railing. The Xenar delegate's words struck a chord. The signs were undeniable. Humanity wasn't retreating. They were consolidating power. Another voice cut through the noise, this one calm but laced with venom. It belonged to a representative of the Vorlek Empire, a militaristic species that had long chafed under human diplomacy. Let us not pretend that this is unprovoked. The humans have always been dangerous. They've been biding their time, waiting for an excuse to show their true nature. The Vorlek Empire will not stand idle while they threaten our way of life. Tyler's heart sank. The Vorlek representative's tone wasn't just defensive, it was accusatory. He had heard rumors that the Vorlek were involved in an incident that had cost the humans dearly. Perhaps the whispers were true. After the session adjourned, Tyler made his way to a quieter wing of the council building. He knew someone who might help, a young Tenvin aide named Lyra who owed him a favor. She was one of the few beings Tyler trusted in this den of political vipers. He found her in an archive room, sorting through stacks of holographic files. Her pale blue skin glowed softly in the dim light, and her forearms moved with practiced efficiency. When she saw Tyler, her eyes widened. "Tyler, what are you doing here?" she whispered, glancing around nervously. "This isn't the place for a merchant right now." "I need information, Lyra," he said, stepping closer. "Something's happening with the humans. The council knows more than they're saying. I need to know the truth." Lyra hesitated, her fingers twitching over a datapad. "Tyler, if anyone sees me talking to you—" "Please," he interrupted. "You've seen the way the galaxy is reacting. If we don't understand what's coming, none of us will survive it." Her expression softened, and she sighed. "Fine, but you didn't get this from me." She tapped a few commands into the datapad and handed it to him. "This is a restricted report from 2 months ago. It details an incident near the Vorlak border." Tyler scanned the file, his eyes widening as the story unfolded. A covert Vorlak operation had targeted a human colony, ostensibly to test their defenses. The Vorlak had expected a swift victory, but their plans had gone horribly wrong. The humans had retaliated with an efficiency that left the Vorlak fleet crippled. The colony survived, but at a terrible cost. Millions of civilian lives lost in the crossfire. "It was covered up," Lyra said quietly. "The Council didn't want the galaxy to know how close we came to an all-out war. But the humans knew. They knew, and they haven't forgotten." Tyler's claws dug into the datapad as he read the final lines of the report. Human response. Containment measures activated. Outcome classified. Recommendation: do not provoke further. As Tyler left the archive, his mind raced. The Vorlak's betrayal had been the catalyst, the spark that lit the fire. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, and now they were preparing to push back. But their silence wasn't just anger, it was strategy. They weren't lashing out blindly. They were dismantling the galaxy's systems piece by piece. Back aboard the starbound Whisper, Tiller replayed the council session in his mind. The Vorlak were panicking, the other species were scrambling to make sense of the silence, and humanity was watching from the shadows. It was a perfect storm, and he was caught in the middle. As he powered up the ship, a new question gnawed at him. Humanity had always been the galaxy's diplomats, the ones who brokered peace. If they were turning their back on that role, what did they intend to become instead? The stars blurred into streaks of light as Tyler made his way to his next destination, a deep space listening post rumored to be monitoring human activity. He knew he was playing a dangerous game, but he had to know. Whatever humanity's endgame was, it had only just begun. Unseen forces. The starbound Whisper dropped out of hyperspace near the edge of the Vankari expanse, a desolate region of space that few dared to traverse. Somewhere within the swirling dust clouds and gravitational anomalies lay the Syrian listening post, a facility known only to a handful of traders and spies. It was said to monitor every corner of the galaxy, including the enigmatic movements of humanity. Tyler wasn't sure if the rumors were true, but he had no other leads. As his ship approached the post, its faint silhouette emerged, a small, heavily fortified station camouflaged against the swirling expanse. Its appearance was unassuming, but Tyler knew better. The Syrian were masters of stealth and intelligence gathering. If anyone had been tracking the humans, it would be them. The docking process was seamless but unnerving. The station's systems took control of Tyler's ship, guiding it into a hangar without a single word of communication. The airlock hissed open, revealing a narrow corridor bathed in dim red light. A pair of Syrian guards greeted him. Tall, insectoid figures with translucent exoskeletons and multifaceted eyes that seemed to see everything at once. "You are not welcome here, Tenvin," one of them clicked in a voice like grinding glass. "I come with credits and questions." Tyler replied, holding his hands up in a gesture of peace, "And I believe your station has the answers I need." The guards exchanged a glance before stepping aside. "Proceed, but tread carefully. The overseer does not tolerate wasted time." Tyler nodded and made his way deeper into the station. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with the hum of machinery and the quiet murmur of Syrian workers analyzing streams of intercepted data. He was eventually led to a circular chamber where the overseer awaited him. The overseer was a Syrian unlike any Tyler had seen. Its exoskeleton shimmered with an unnatural glow, and its eyes were larger and more vibrant, shifting colors as it observed him. A set of mechanical appendages extended from its back, each one manipulating a console or data feed. "State your purpose, Tenvin," the overseer said, its voice cold and detached. Tyler took a deep breath. "I need information about the humans. Their silence is causing ripples across the galaxy, and I believe you've been monitoring them." The overseer's eyes flickered, and the room seemed to grow colder. "You are correct. We have been tracking their movements, or rather, their lack of movement. The humans have withdrawn, yes, but their absence is not inactivity. It is calculation." Tyler leaned forward. Calculation for what? The overseer activated a hologram, displaying a map of the galaxy. Dozens of red markers pulsed across key regions, trade hubs, communication relays, military installations. "This is what we have observed," the overseer continued. "Systematic disruptions, communications blackouts, mysterious failures in critical infrastructure. And yet, no physical presence. No fleets, no soldiers, only silence." Tyler's scales prickled. "You're saying they're behind this? All of it?" "Not directly," the overseer replied. "Human hands are not at work, but their technology is. Autonomous systems, drones, algorithms, and other tools we cannot identify. The humans are dismantling the galaxy without lifting a single finger." Tyler's mind raced. He had seen some of this on Daxar Station. The drone, the cryptic messages, but this was far beyond anything he had imagined. Why? What's their endgame? The overseer tilted its head, its eyes flashing a deep crimson. Revenge, perhaps, or a rebalancing of power. The humans have always been unpredictable, but there is one constant in their behavior. They do not act without purpose. Every move they make, every silence they hold, serves a larger strategy. As Tyler absorbed this information, an alarm blared through the station. The overseer's appendages froze mid-task, and its eyes turned an intense shade of white. "What's happening?" Tyler asked, his voice rising in panic. "Anomaly detected," the overseer said. "A signal, human origin, originating from inside this station." Tyler's blood ran cold. Inside? How? Before the overseer could respond, the chamber's lights flickered, and the hologram shifted to display a new message. It was simple, stark, and chilling. "We see you." The overseer's mechanical appendages whirred to life, scrambling to counter the intrusion. But it was too late. Every console in the chamber went dark, and a single voice echoed through the station. It was synthetic, yet unmistakably human. "You have watched us for long enough. Now, it is our turn to watch you." The lights returned, but the atmosphere in the room had changed. The overseer's usual calm was replaced with something Tyler had never seen in a Syrian before. "Fear. They know we are here," it said, almost to itself. Tyler swallowed hard. What does that mean? The overseer didn't answer immediately. Instead, it turned to him, its glowing eyes narrowing. "You have brought attention to this place, Tenvin. You must leave. Now." Tyler didn't argue. He bolted back to his ship, his mind racing with the implications of what he had just witnessed. As the starbound whisper lifted off and escaped into hyperspace, he couldn't shake the feeling that the humans had let him see just enough to understand one thing. They weren't hiding. They were hunting. And no one, no matter how far, how hidden, or how powerful, was beyond their reach. A galaxy united in fear, The starbound whisper drifted in hyperspace, but Tyler couldn't rest. His thoughts swirled, replaying the human signal that had hijacked the Syrian listening post. "We see you." It wasn't just a warning. It was a declaration. Humanity wasn't acting in secret anymore. They wanted to be noticed. As his ship approached the neutral world of Brarak IV, Tyler braced himself. Brarak IV wasn't a peaceful haven. It was a meeting ground for rogue factions, smugglers, and those who traded in information. If anyone could piece together the threads of what humanity was doing, it would be the brokers who lived in the shadows. The landing pad was a chaotic sprawl of mismatched ships and alien travelers. Tyler stepped out cautiously, his sharp eyes scanning for potential threats. He quickly made his way to a nondescript building with no sign or markings. The door slid open, revealing a dimly lit room packed with holographic displays and terminals manned by beings of every shape and size. At the center sat Rexel, a massive, six-limbed Rokali with a reputation for knowing everything that moved in the galaxy. His eye stalks swiveled toward Tyler as he approached. Well, if it isn't my favorite Tenvin trader," Rexel said, his voice a deep rumble. "What brings you to my humble establishment? Surely not more spice routes." Tyler wasted no time. "The humans. You know what's happening. I need answers." Rexel's demeanor shifted. His eye stalks retracted slightly, a gesture Tyler recognized as unease. "You're playing a dangerous game, Tyler," Rexel muttered. "The humans. They're not like the others. They're rewriting the rules." "Tell me everything," Tyler urged. "What are they doing? What are they planning?" Rexel hesitated, then tapped a few keys on a terminal. A hologram flickered to life, showing reports from across the galaxy. Trade disruptions, energy grids failing without warning, entire fleets stranded as their navigation systems mysteriously shut down. "They've crippled half the galaxy without firing a single shot," Rexel said. "No one knows how they're doing it. Not even the Syrian can track their movements anymore." Tyler pointed at the reports. "What about these factions? Surely someone is preparing a response." Rexel chuckled darkly. "Response. Every major power is terrified. The Vorlak are scrambling to fortify their borders, but their own systems are failing. The Xenar Collective tried to launch a counterattack, but their fleet's turned against them. The Galactic Council is paralyzed. No one knows who will be next." Tyler's heart sank. The humans weren't just disrupting systems, they were dismantling the very fabric of galactic order. "And the worst part," Rexel continued, lowering his voice, "the humans haven't even revealed their full hand. This is just the beginning." As Tyler left Rexel's den, his communicator buzzed. He activated it, and a familiar face appeared. Lara, the Tenvin aide from the Galactic Council. Her expression was strained, her usual calm replaced with urgency. "Tyler, where are you?" she asked quickly. "Brarak IV. Why?" "You need to leave. Now," she said. "The Council has intercepted a human transmission. They're moving faster than anyone anticipated." "What transmission?" Lara hesitated, then played the recording. A distorted voice, unmistakably human, echoed through the line. "The age of manipulation is over. The galaxy will remember what it means to fear." Tyler's blood ran cold. "What does it mean?" Lara shook her head. "No one knows, but the Council is panicking. They're calling an emergency summit on Serath Prime. Every faction is sending representatives. They think they can negotiate with the humans." Tyler frowned. "Negotiate? After everything they've done?" "They have no choice," Lara said. "But I'm not sure it will matter. Tyler, I need you to be there. You've seen things no one else has. You might be the only one who can make sense of this." The summit on Serath Prime was unlike anything Tyler had ever seen. The Grand Chamber was filled with representatives from every major faction in the galaxy. The tension was palpable, a thick weight that hung over the room like a storm cloud. High Arbiter Exaltric stood at the center, his carapace dulled by stress, "We are gathered here to discuss the greatest threat our galaxy has ever faced," he began. "The humans have demonstrated capabilities beyond our understanding. If we do not act together, we risk annihilation." A Vorlak general slammed its claw on the table. "We should strike first, destroy their colonies before they destroy ours." "That would be suicide," a Xenar delegate snapped. "They've already crippled fleets far more advanced than yours." The arguments grew louder, the room descending into chaos. Tyler watched from the gallery, frustration bubbling inside him. They weren't discussing solutions, they were scrambling for survival. Then the lights flickered. The chamber fell silent as a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It was a human, a figure clad in black, their face obscured. Their voice, calm and unyielding, filled the space. "Your time of dominance is over," the figure said. "For centuries, you have exploited the weak, ignored the cries for justice, and treated the galaxy as your playground. No more." The delegates looked at one another, their fear palpable. "What do you want?" Saltric demanded. The human tilted their head. "We want balance. Surrender your monopolies of power. Dismantle your oppressive systems. Restore equity, or we will do it for you." "And if we refuse?" the Vorlak general growled. The human's voice turned icy. "Then the galaxy will burn." The hologram disappeared, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. As Tyler returned to his ship, he realized something chilling. The humans weren't waging war. They were reshaping the galaxy itself. And no one, not even the Galactic Council, had the power to stop them. The question wasn't whether the galaxy would submit. The question was how much destruction it would endure before it did. The reckoning begins. The starbound whisper streaked through hyperspace, its hull trembling as Tyler pushed the engines to their limits. The events of the summit on Seraph Prime replayed in his mind. The human hologram, the cold ultimatum, and the stunned silence that followed. The galaxy had been given its final warning, and Tyler knew humanity wouldn't wait long for an answer. But where was their attack coming from? How would it begin? The galaxy's factions were scrambling to prepare defenses, yet humanity had already shown they didn't need fleets or armies. Their weapons were precision, disruption, and fear. Somewhere in deep space, the United Vorlak High Command sat in their heavily fortified war room. The room was a testament to Vorlak arrogance, bristling with advanced weapons and shield generators. Their general, Kroventhal, stood at the center, his massive claws tapping against the table. "This is a bluff," he declared, his voice echoing off the steel walls. "Humans are fragile, spread too thin. They hide behind technology because they fear direct confrontation. We will strike first and remind them of their place." A young officer stepped forward, hesitating. "General, there have been anomalies in our systems. Fleet coordination is anomalies." Kroven snarled. "We are the Vorlak. No human trickery can breach our defenses." But even as he spoke, the room dimmed. The holographic maps on the table flickered, replaced by an eerie red glow. Kroven turned to his technicians. "What is this?" "Restore the systems." The lead technician's mandibles clicked nervously as he worked. "It's not us, sir. The systems are locked. We're being overridden." Before Kroven could respond, a voice filled the room. Calm, calculated, and unmistakably human. "General Kroventhal, you speak of strength, but strength without wisdom is weakness." The lights dimmed further as a holographic figure appeared in the room. It was a human, their face obscured by a dark helmet. The Vorlak soldiers raised their weapons, but the hologram remained unfazed. "You have relied on brute force for too long," the figure continued. "You dismissed us as fragile, but fragility breeds adaptability. We do not need to match your strength. We only need to exploit your weaknesses." Suddenly, the war room's walls began to vibrate. Kroven's technicians shouted as screens displayed chaos. Entire Vorlak fleets were losing power, their shields failing, and their navigation systems going dark. Planetary defense grids turned inward, aiming at their own cities. "This is impossible," Croven roared. "No species has this level of control." "This is not control," the human hologram replied. "This is justice." The hologram faded, leaving behind a single, chilling message on every screen in the war room. "You should have listened." Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. On the industrial world of Draklin IV, factory complexes that fueled half the Galactic Council's fleets ground to a halt as their automated systems malfunctioned. Workers fled in terror as assembly lines turned into death traps, machines moving with a mind of their own. In the central hub of the Xinar Collective, an emergency council convened to address mass failures in their communications network. They quickly realized the problem was worse than they thought. Their archives were being systematically erased, centuries of knowledge vanishing into nothingness. And on the lush trade planet of Ultraxis, millions watched in horror as their planetary defense system activated without warning, locking the planet in a shield that cut off all trade and communication. The shield pulsed ominously, a silent warning that humanity's reach extended everywhere. Back on the starbound Whisper, Tyler's communicator buzzed incessantly with updates from across the galaxy. His connections were feeding him snippets of the chaos. Fleets disabled, planets isolated, critical infrastructure collapsing. The humans weren't attacking with ships. They were dismantling the galaxy's foundation. Lyra's voice crackled through his communicator. "Tyler, where are you? We need to regroup." "I'm on my way to Zolaris," he replied, referencing a remote trade station. "But it won't matter. The galaxy is unraveling faster than we can react." Lyra's voice was grim. "The Council is in shambles. Some factions want to negotiate. Others are calling for full-scale retaliation. But how do you fight an enemy that doesn't show up?" Tyler sighed, his hands gripping the controls. "You don't. That's the point." The humans finally reveal themselves. At the edges of the galaxy, in a system long thought abandoned, a massive structure emerged from the shadows of a black hole. It was a human station. No, a fortress. Its sheer size dwarfed any known construction, its surface bristling with weapons and unknown technologies. The fortress transmitted a single message on all frequencies, reaching every corner of the galaxy. "You have had your chance. The reckoning begins now. Submit or perish." The galaxy panics. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, but the representatives were too divided to agree on a course of action. Some begged for negotiation, while others insisted on retaliation. Meanwhile, reports of humanity's fortress spread like wildfire, adding to the fear. Tyler sat in the observation gallery, watching the chaos unfold. His mind raced as he pieced together what he had learned. Humanity's moves weren't random. They were deliberate, coordinated. Every disruption, every failure, was part of a larger plan. But what was their endgame? Suddenly, Lyra appeared beside him. "Tyler, you need to speak." "Me?" he asked, startled. "You've seen more than anyone else. They'll listen to you." Tyler hesitated, then rose. His voice, steady but firm, echoed through the chamber. "This isn't a war we can win with weapons. The humans aren't fighting for conquest. They're fighting for control. A galaxy free from the corruption and oppression we've ignored for centuries." The room fell silent as his words sank in. For the first time, the Council seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation. The first surrender. In the days that followed, smaller factions began to capitulate, dismantling oppressive systems and opening negotiations with the humans. But the major powers, like the Vorlak and Xinar, refused to yield. Humanity's fortress remained silent, watching, waiting. Its presence loomed over the galaxy like a specter of judgment, a reminder that the reckoning had only just begun. Tyler knew the galaxy was standing on the edge of a knife. The question wasn't whether the humans would act. The question was how much of the galaxy would survive when they did. A new galactic order. The galaxy had fallen into a fragile silence. Everywhere, Governments and factions scrambled to address humanity's ultimatum: submit or perish. Entire systems had collapsed under the weight of their failures as humans dismantled the infrastructure holding their empires together. But humanity's fortress remained motionless, an ominous black monolith orbiting the edge of the galaxy, a constant reminder of the reckoning. Tyler's ship approached the fortress cautiously, escorted by a fleet of human drones. These drones were silent, angular shadows that moved with eerie precision. Lara sat beside him, her face pale as the fortress came into full view. "It's not a station," she whispered. "It's a weapon." Tyler nodded grimly. "And we're walking straight into its heart." Inside the fortress, the starbound Whisper docked in a massive hangar, its size dwarfing anything Tyler had seen before. The walls were seamless, devoid of markings, and the air felt heavy with the hum of unseen energy. A human figure stood waiting for them, dressed in a simple black uniform, their face obscured by a sleek visor. "Welcome, Tyler of the Tenvin," the figure said, their voice calm but authoritative. "And Lara of the Council. You represent more than yourselves today." "We're here to negotiate," Tyler said, stepping forward. "The galaxy." "The galaxy had its chance to negotiate," the human interrupted. "You're here to witness the end of an era." The human led them deeper into the fortress, through corridors that pulsed faintly with blue light. As they walked, Tyler noticed something unsettling. There were no other humans. The fortress was eerily empty, its systems running autonomously. "Where is everyone?" Lara asked cautiously. "We are everywhere," the human replied cryptically. "This fortress is merely a fragment of our presence." They entered a central chamber, its ceiling so high it disappeared into shadow. A massive holographic display dominated the room, showing a map of the galaxy. Red markers flickered over key systems, each representing a world where humanity had forced change. Trade monopolies had been dismantled. Corrupt governments had fallen. Entire fleets were grounded, their power reallocated to civilian control. "This is what we fight for," the human said, gesturing to the map. "Balance. For too long, the strong have crushed the weak. The privileged have exploited the vulnerable. We gave the galaxy every chance to correct itself, but it refused. Now we will correct it." Tyler's tail flicked nervously. "And what happens to those who refuse to comply?" The human turned to him, their visor reflecting the map's glow. "You've seen the answer to that question. The first major collapse." As negotiations unfolded within the fortress, the galaxy outside was unraveling. The Vorlic Empire, stubborn and defiant to the last, launched a desperate attack on one of humanity's outposts. Their fleet of 500 warships was formidable, bristling with firepower, but the humans didn't respond with brute force. Instead, the Vorlic ships lost power mid-attack. Their weapons systems turned on each other, ships exploding in a chain reaction that lit up the void. Survivors fled in panic, their communications filled with one chilling message: resistance is futile. Within days, the Vorlic Empire's government collapsed, its people overthrowing the war-hungry leaders who had led them to ruin. The message was clear: defiance would not be tolerated. Humanity's terms. Back in the fortress, the human representative explained their vision. "We don't seek conquest," they said. "We seek accountability. Every government, every faction will adhere to these principles: freedom, equity, and the eradication of corruption. Resources will be shared, not hoarded. Technology will uplift, not oppress. Power will serve, not exploit." Lara bristled. "You can't expect the galaxy to change overnight. You're forcing your ideals on billions of species." The human's voice hardened. "And how many billions have suffered under the current system? How many lives have been destroyed by greed and apathy? Change is painful, but it is necessary." Tyler interjected. "And if we accept your terms, what then?" The human paused, their voice softening. "Then you will prosper. Those who cooperate will rebuild stronger than ever. Those who resist will be removed." The new galactic order. As days turned into weeks, more factions began to surrender. The Xinar Collective, once known for its rigid hierarchies, implemented sweeping reforms, granting equal representation to its lower castes. The Arlak Confederation dismantled its monopolies, redistributing resources to uplift impoverished systems. The Galactic Council was reduced to a shadow of its former self, its power stripped away and replaced by a new alliance, a coalition led by those willing to embrace humanity's vision. And yet, fear lingered. The fortress remained a silent sentinel, its presence a constant reminder of humanity's ability to destroy as easily as it could rebuild. Tyler's final revelation. Tyler and Lyra were allowed to leave the fortress, their mission complete. As the starbound whisper departed, Tyler couldn't help but glance back at the monolithic structure. "They're not conquerors," he said quietly. "They're architects." "Architects of what?" Lyra asked. Tyler thought for a moment. "A galaxy where no one can play God. Not the Vorlak, not the Council, not even them." The legend begins. Years later, the story of humanity's reckoning became a legend passed down across the stars. Some viewed them as saviors, others as tyrants, but one truth remained universal. The day the Deathworlders stopped playing nice changed the galaxy forever. And though their fortress eventually vanished into the void, the galaxy would always remember their final warning. Balance is not an option. It is a law.